Real Six, take one.
What? No!
No! Hi, hello, and welcome to this special follow-up, I guess is that what we're calling this?
Yeah, a follow-up.
To an episode that I did last week.
Yeah.
You'll have to excuse me, I'm a little sick. But anyway, so yes, I did a review for the film Argylle, and I did it by myself because Miss Pengrino was not around when I saw it, so I saw it on my own. Miss Pengrino has now seen it, and so now this is a follow-up episode of Get
Real.
And on this follow-up, we're going to once again talk about, as you saw on the thing there, Argylle. I think I just said it a minute ago too, didn't I?
Again.
Argylle, again. No, so, I mean, pretty much the takeaways that I had were the same that Miss Pengrino took away. I think there is one thing that I wanted to mention before we get into really the nitty-gritty, was I forgot how cliched this movie was. It was super, super campy cliched, like the secret agent cliches.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, because of all the twists and turns and everything. And there was one line that made my eyes roll, because I was like, oh God, this is so typical. And it's when Bryan Cranston gets mad and he says, if we don't catch these people, heads will roll. And when he said that, I was like, that's like a 1960s, 70s James Bond movie type line.
It's a common line.
It is.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But and it's comedic. I mean, this movie is comedic, so you know. But it's not a parody. Like I feel like you could say that in an Austin Powers movie, and that would be funny. But in this case, it just seemed kind of misplaced.
Awkward.
It did, a little awkward. But did you enjoy the movie?
I loved it.
What did you love the most about it?
It's definitely up there in like one of the films for me. Like I hate to say it, but it's a stupid comedy. It's one of those ones.
But it's a fun comedy.
But it's a fun comedy. It's one of those ones where I really don't have to think about it to enjoy it. My brain just naturally enjoys it. Grant you, I could see most of the twists and turns coming because I do watch like murder mysteries all the time, things like that.
And that's where you and I differ because I didn't see any of it coming.
Oh, I knew all of them.
I didn't know any of it was coming. So that's what I found it entertaining because I was trying to, because I'm more for the movies that you have to sit, watch, pay attention to, and get a cohesive narrative. I do, which is weird because a lot of my all-time favorite movies are those dumb movies that you don't have to think about. I was just thinking about the other day, started laughing about scenes from In the Army Now. Have you ever seen that movie with Pauly Shore? It is such a stupid...
It's been a really long time.
It's such a stupid movie from the 90s, but I love it so much. And it's like, you know what? I do love those types of movies. But I liked Argylle because I had to sit and focus and figure out bit by bit of what was going on. And
I didn't have to do that. I just knew what was going to happen.
And I think one of the biggest takeaways from this movie, and this is what we really wanted to talk about, was the mid-credit scene.
Yes.
Spoiler alert. I spoke about this on the actual episode, where we find out that Argylle takes place in the Kingsman universe. Which
was real funny because Hot Toddy asked me during one of the like fight scenes, if you will, what does
with all the smoke.
With all the smoke.
Because I talked about this scene on the episode.
What does this remind? What movie does this remind you of? And I'm not very good at guessing these kind of things, but I had an immediate answer, and I was like, didn't know if I should say it because I'm like, God, I'm going to say it's going to be wrong.
No.
And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to say it, and I go, Kingsman. This reminds me of Kingsman. And he's like, how did you, what? And
I was like, no, I said, keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind.
Remember that. And sure enough, again, we talked about it on the episode, the Kingsman, you find out that Argylle is in the Kingsman universe. My thought process is, and I can't even really remember what the thought process was because you came up with the much better thing, the much more cohesive narrative of what this would be. My thought process is that it just takes place in the Kingsman universe, and that this is her remembering herself in the Kingsman universe or something like that. But no, it wasn't even that. See, I don't even remember what my train of thought was.
What?
I don't even know what my train of thought was. I just was like, oh, it takes place in the Kingsman universe. So maybe if they do a sequel, we'll see some of the Kingsmen in it. But you had the better solution. What was your reaction?
My reaction,
what was your takeaway?
Was that she was like a descendant of the Kingsmen. And basically, because yes, there is an American Kingsman. There's a
British Kingsman.
There's Kingsmen all over. And so my takeaway was you saw Argylle or Kyle or whatever the name was, and that she was some sort of descendant. So she is one of the American Kingsmen.
And my thought process was because, all of her experiences with Argylle, again, spoilers, the Argylle story is stuff that she went through, and she's remembering this and thinking that it's stuff that she's coming up with for a story. It turns out to be real life situations. So my thought process was she's not a descendant. She actually is a Kingsman, but she's forgotten. And again, she's regaling that in her memories as a Kingsman.
Yeah, or possibly one of her, parents, grandparents, or something.
See, you say descendant. I think she is a Kingsman.
She could be. It's just
because because in this case, it's a young Argylle going to the Kingsman bar and being like, give me vodka with shot of pee, urine, whatever it was, that the code name, whatever it was, and then when he gave him the urine, he was like, listen, you're in trouble.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But no, what it is like, he was like...
so bad!
But he was like, yes, I'm Argylle. And he's like a young kid. So I'm like, oh, this must be like... Because Bryce Dallas Howard, and I'm guessing the Ellie is her name, we're going to leave it there, is in her early 40s, for real. So I'm thinking this must be like her late teens, early 20s, which would be about 20 years ago, which would make sense in this case.
Now, the other thing it made me think of, because at the very end, before we get to the mid-credit scene, the guy she's been picturing playing Argylle this whole time stands up. And it was like, I think
Henry Cavill.
You have some questions for me, or whatever he says.
Yeah.
So my next thought would be, he is a Kingsman.
Because we found out in the second one there were Southern country
Kingsmen.
Because he's a country guy,
with the mullet and all this thing. So he is a Kingsman, and either she worked with him, or she knew him, or they're related, or something having to do with him. And he's the Kingsman.
And that's where she gets this vision of Argylle.
And that's where she gets this vision of him, because she has met him before in that Kingsman state. So that was kind of my other thing.
So many thoughts, so many questions.
And then my last question would be, are they going to make a second one? Because they probably maybe didn't think about it, but I want a second one.
Yeah.
I do. I want more. They made 2 Kingsmen.
They did, and they made
Kingsmen,
they made a prequel to the Kingsmen here recently.
Which I don't feel like I really like the prequel.
No.
But I like the 2 Kingsmen.
Did we watch the prequel, didn't we?
I watched bits and pieces. I don't think I actually sat through the whole thing. Maybe if I sat through the whole thing, I'd like it. But I think I only watched bits and pieces.
But yeah.
I would like another one.
Again.
More pulling into the Kingsman universe as how this matches with it. Like, how are we playing this?
Again, we'll look at where the box office is at this point. I don't think the movie's doing very well.
Which sucks, because it means they're not going to do a second one.
Well, they might still, because, if it is part of the Kingsman universe, they may go ahead and greenlight a sequel just for the fun of it.
True.
I don't know that for sure. But yeah, at first I was like, I don't think we need a sequel to this. But I'm like, okay, if you're going to go down that road, this is a part of the Kingsman.
Yeah.
I think, you should go do a sequel. Because again, I didn't hate the movie. I criticized it a lot in the review. I was pointing out all of its flaws. But I did say overall it's a fun movie, and I think you should go see it. So I'm thinking,
you did make one point that I do agree with, is that they use Samuel L. Jackson.
This is the dumbest
both
thing.
Versions.
Yeah.
In the Kingsman version, though, he is a bad guy.
And he's a completely different
character.
But they were
than
just
what
like,
he is in this movie.
They're just
and
like, screw it.
It's fine. We'll just throw him in there.
Screw it. He's a new character. Don't pay attention to that. He's a different person.
That is a bit
puzzling.
Puzzling, unless all of a sudden he turns bad.
No, because it's 2 different guys.
It is 2 different people. He does play 2 different.
It's 2 different guys.
Characters.
And Samuel L. Jackson's character died in the Kingsman movie, did he not?
Pretty sure they killed him. Yes.
So there you go. There's no way to go with that. So.
But this could have been like pre-Kingsman.
No.
I'm just saying. It's possible.
Although they didn't give us a date for the film.
They didn't. It could have been pre-Kingsman, and he became this bad guy. But it seems a little far-stretched to do that. That's me really using my imagination.
Bottom line.
So that was poor choice.
Bottom line, they need to make a sequel so that we can get a continuing story here, and then that's something we really need to look into. But again, overall, I gave my review on the last episode. I thought it was I think it was great. I think people should go see it. Highly recommend. What about you, Miss Pengrino?
I think you definitely should go see it. It's a nice movie out. They don't put too many good comedies out lately, so I know everybody's like, oh, it's kind of blah.
It's kind of blah, but it's fun. It's a fun
nice,
blah.
fun blah. Like,
it's fun
not,
blah.
I mean, if you were expecting it to be like a real hardcore spy movie, okay, well, that's stupid.
That's on you.
That's on you.
That's on you.
Because it's not that.
Yeah.
It is definitely a comedy.
Yeah.
Like joke spoof type thing.
It's not a spoof. That's the thing. It's not a spoof.
But it's spoof-like. If you like Kingsman, I do feel like you would like this, though.
Yes.
Because it is very Kingsman-y. I love Kingsman. That's one of my faves. So this, for me, was pretty great.
Yeah.
And I recommend going to see it. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I would pay to go see it again.
So there you go. Argylle, still in theaters. Go see it. Real sex, that's a wrap. I've actually done that joke before, so we don't have to end it the same way if you don't. Cut.